And coming up on Newsnight tonight, government endorses Asantehene's mediation efforts in Bawku, allocating 1 billion Ghana cedis to revive the area's economy ravaged by years of conflict, plus ensuring Alhaji Seidu Abagre's safe passage to Nalerigu, a crucial step towards reconciliation.
It will be untenable for anyone to hold that Seidu Abagre is not the Bawku Naba, requires that Mr. Seidu Abagre be recalled to Nalerigu by the Nairi to be reassigned to play another traditional role at the Palace of the Nairi, assisted by the state.
Also tonight, minority in Parliament berates government for deploying soldiers to Jamaica and allegedly to Benin, to describing the moves as completely misplaced.
We are demanding answers from the Minister for Defense, from all the relevant agencies who took this decision. They are misplaced priority, and we cannot watch on unconcerned.
We have details as they demand urgent briefings from the Defense and Foreign Affairs Ministers. Also tonight, the Media Coalition Against Galamsey raises alarm over dangerous cyanide used by unregulated small-scale miners, warning of imminent threats to water resources and mining communities.
Some of the small-scale miners, without the necessary regulation from the EPA, the Minerals Commission, are beginning to do some cyanide use, and which is very dangerous because the concentrations at which they are working at. Coming
up in business,
IMF Executive Board approves Ghana's 5th program review, paving the way for disbursement of some $380 million.
In sports,
and so we'll tell you why Ghana is set to make over $10 million for participating in the 2025.
And a bit later, a countdown is on. Only 9 days left until the ultimate party experience, Joy FM Family Party in the Park, hits Abri Botanical Gardens on Boxing Day. We'll tell you about preparations for the biggest event this Christmas. Details of these and many other stories coming up in the next 60 minutes. My name is Kenneth Gyasi. You can be a part of this conversation by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. Details shortly. Welcome back to News Tonight, and tonight government has endorsed the Bawku mediation report by the Asantehene Otunfo Oseidu II and directed the return of the rival chief Alhaji Seidu Abagre to Nalerigu under the authority of the Nairi. In an official statement released today and signed by the spokesperson to the president, Felix Kwachiofosu, government accepted all recommendations in the report presented on Tuesday, affirming the Supreme Court's position on the rightful Bawku overlord. Well, first listen to the Asantehene on some key findings and recommendations in the report.
I have, from the inception, restrained both governments from effecting the arrest of Mr. Seidu Abagre out of respect for my brother, the Nairi. The final resolution of the Bawku matters requires that Mr. Seidu Abagre be recalled to Nalerigu by the Nairi to be reassigned to play another traditional role at the Palace of the Nairi, assisted by the state. Alternatively, he may choose to stay in Bawku as an ordinary citizen of the community, but not to pose as Bawku Naba. The final recommendation, Mr. President, I recommend that my brother, the Nairi, accepts the laws as presently constituting Seidu Abagre as the chief of Bawku and head chief of the Kusasi traditional area. We chiefs, no matter how exalted, do not live above the Constitution of Ghana and the laws duly enacted and affirmed by the courts. Accordingly, the laws which recognizes Seidu Abagre must be enforced by the government of the Republic of Ghana until changed in accordance with the 1992 Constitution or reviewed by the Supreme Court of Ghana.
Well, the Asantehene, as part of the recommendations, also wants government to be firm in the reconciliation process to bring lasting solution to the area.
The government must enforce the laws and deal sternly with any person challenging the lawful authority of Abagre Asoga. This is critical to the restoration and maintenance of peace in Kusasi traditional area. I wish to thank you, Mr. President, and your predecessor for reposing such confidence in me and tasking me with the mediation of this conflict with a view to finding a lasting solution. I also want to thank the Nairi and the Bawku Naba for their efforts relative to this mediation process. The various chiefs or heads of various communities whom I met in the area who also participated in this endeavor deserve positive commendation.
So that's the Asantehene Otunfo Oseichitu II at the Jubilee House yesterday when he presented the report of his mediation efforts to President John Mahama, and the government stated that the report provides a comprehensive, fact-based and forward-looking roadmap for lasting peace in the conflict-ridden area. And my colleague Michael Ashale is joining me in studio with details of the two-paged statement from government. Michael, let's start with what government intends to do with Otunfo's report.
So in a two-page statement, you rightly said, the government started by saying that it fully endorses and accepts all the findings and recommendations contained in the mediation report. It goes on to say that the report constitutes a comprehensive, fact-based and forward-looking roadmap aimed exclusively at achieving lasting peace, reconciliation and stability in Bawku and its surrounding areas. It is not intended to apportion blame or confer victory on any party. And then he says, in particular, the government affirms the unequivocal position of the law as consistently upheld by the Supreme Court of Ghana that Naba Asigri Abugrago Azoka II is the lawful Bawku Naba, and that no individual or group is permitted under any circumstance to contest his authority or legitimacy.
Otunfo was quite clear that Nairi is expected to recall the rival chief that was installed in Bawku. How is government expecting to go about this?
So Otunfo was clear that that chief has to be recalled back to the Nairi, or he could alternatively live in Bawku, but as a normal citizen and not as a chief. Government says it accepts the recommendations that Alhaji Seidu Abagre, who was installed as a rival claimant to the Bawku chieftaincy, be recalled to Nalerigu by the overlord of Mamprugu, the Nairi, to assume an alternative traditional role with the necessary facilitation and support of the state. And then concludes and tells us how exactly it's going to do that. It said, pursuant to this recommendation by the Majesty, Otunfo said to the second, the government will immediately facilitate the safe movement of Alhaji Seidu Abagre to Nalerigu, where he shall remain available to receive the directives of the Nairi.
Michael, and finally, years of conflict, as we already know, has done one thing to Bawku, and that is stagnated development. What does government plan to do about that?
Well, government says that insecurity over the years has severely constrained public and private investment and stalled critical infrastructure development. In response, President John Mahama has directed the Minister of Finance to establish a 1 billion Ghana cedis Bawku Revitalization Fund. It says the fund, which shall be disbursed over a 3-year period between 2026 and 2028, will be dedicated to the reconstruction and development of priority infrastructure, including roads, healthcare, education, dam and irrigation facilities for all year-round agriculture, security installations, and economic and commercial facilities in Bawku.
Michael Ashale, thank you very much. Let's go to the Upper East region and speak to our resident correspondent, Albert. Sorry, Albert, it's been more than 24 hours since the Asantehene submitted this report to the president. What has been the general mood in Bawku as we speak?
There have been some jubilations from some of the people who agreed with the outcome of the mediation. There are some people who are also rejoicing because they believe that peace will finally return to the Bawku municipality. Contrary to fears that some people had, that if there were some sorts of disagreements to the outcome of the mediation, there could be some disturbances. We haven't witnessed anything of the sort. The town has been quiet since from yesterday when the Asantehene addressed that press conference and made his findings known. The whole of today, we haven't heard of any incident whatsoever in Bawku. But we do also know that security has been beefed up in the area for the last 24 hours. We've seen more men on the ground, a number of roadblocks on various entry points leading into the town as well.
And Albert, although this is not related, but there were some gun attacks in Walewale earlier today. You've been speaking to some of the people in the area. What have they been telling you?
We do not know if this attack has any direct linkage to the outcome of the mediation. What we know is that the bus, which was attacked by some gunmen, had some passengers in it. We are told that 2 of them are in serious condition and several others are injured and receiving treatment. Beyond that, the security agencies tell us that they are investigating the incident, and so this is all that we know about it as we speak.
Albert, sorry, thank you very much. We can now listen to some of the individuals who were affected by the early gun attacks in Walewale.
From Morga, and because we didn't get enough passengers in Morga, the VVIP here invited us that we should come for top up. The bus was full, and we have moved going towards Tamale. So on reaching the hilltop there, the outskirts there, then I saw 2 tires on fire in the middle of the road. So I stopped. There I heard gunshot. The first I thought, because we are in the Xmas mood, I thought people were making fun. There I heard gunshot again. Then the last one that they fired entered the bus and hit my brother's head. So what I did was I opened the door for everyone to run for her or their life. So I also made my way through the bush. I came across and then entered the road here and reported to the police, to the hospital. Why even I didn't know that the police had taken me to the hospital. So later I came here and found him lying down. What time was it? It was some few minutes after 6 o'clock. Yes, it was few minutes after 6 o'clock. Ransford James Nyan.
Well, let's take you to the House of Legislature now, because the minority in Parliament says government's decision to deploy troops to Jamaica for reconstruction after a hurricane destroyed public and private infrastructure in that country is completely unnecessary. The troops in question are from the Engineering Regiment of the Ghana Armed Forces, where the minority also claimed the government is deploying soldiers to Benin after a recent coup attempt. Speaking to journalists in Parliament, ranking member on the Defence and Interior Committee described the moves as misplaced. We will get more from our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent shortly, but first, President John Dramani Mahama has urged 54 soldiers from the Engineers Corps who have been deployed to Jamaica to let their conduct reflect the values, discipline and humanity of the Ghanaian soldier. He spoke at a farewell ceremony for them.
Ghana has consistently stood for international solidarity, humanitarian assistance and global responsibility. Our nation understands the pain of natural disasters and the long road to recovery. Today's mission reinforces Ghana's commitment to humanitarian response, disaster recovery and reconstruction, and South-South cooperation, Pan-African and Afro-Caribbean solidarity. I commend the Ghana Armed Forces for their professionalism, for their discipline, and their readiness to serve not only at home, but anywhere in the world duty calls. This mission is not a combat mission. It is a mission of compassion, skill, and service. After we dispatched the first batch of humanitarian assistance, I made a phone call to the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Honorable Andrew Holness, to express Ghana's solidarity with the people of Jamaica. He thanked me for the assistance we had dispatched, and in our discussion, he said what they need currently is assistance with rebuilding and providing shelter for the people who have been displaced. And so I offered to send a regiment of our engineering corps to help with the assistance, and also send them some tents to provide temporary shelter. We are dispatching those tents by sea so that we can provide temporary shelter. But in the meantime, our troops are going to help with reconstruction, with building, and also providing support for the people of Jamaica.
President John Dramani Mahama there. We can now listen to the Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto Ablaka, who also says that this demonstrates to the people and government of Jamaica that Ghana stands with them in solidarity and that they are not alone.
In addition to the humanitarian support sent, has decided that today we need to deploy our troops following a request formally made by the Prime Minister of Jamaica. His Excellency the President is really pleased that the Ghana Armed Forces is responding to this call. And as a nation, are grateful to our gallant men and women in uniform for always making Ghana proud in various theaters across the world. As a top 5 UN troop contributing country, our armed forces have held high the flag of Ghana and have brought honor and have brought pride to us anywhere they have been deployed. And we have no doubt that on this special mission by His Excellency the President, they will once again hold high the flag of Ghana and make us proud.
Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa is the Foreign Affairs Minister. Let's now hear from the ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee, Johnny Ntimfojwo, who has described the moves as misplaced.
We woke up to the news of Ghana sending troops to Benin. And these troops that are committed to some undertakings in Benin ought to have come to the attention of Parliament for prior approval. Today, we also have woken up to the news of government sending troops, military troops to Jamaica to assist on some humanitarian grounds and some reconstruction undertakings. We don't have any problem with the principles of assistance to these countries we have mentioned. However, the procedures that should have been followed and the due process of consulting this august house, this Parliament House, in such decisions for us to be able to interrogate, to ensure transparency in the modalities, the framework, even the various costs that the state will incur, how long all these decisions taken will persist. Recently, when they sought to buy helicopters, they had to consult Parliament. So how come when you want to deploy troops to Benin, you do not consult Parliament? When you want to deploy troops to Jamaica, you do not consult Parliament. What are they hiding within this process? Sending troops to Benin, we need to understand which protocols under which this deployment is going to be undertaken, how many troops are going to be sent, how long this operation is going to be undertaken, and what is the cost to the state? How much is it going to cost the state for these troops deployed to Benin that will be incurred as a result of this decision? We have to ask all these questions. We are demanding answers from the Minister for Defense, from all the relevant agencies who took this decision.
That's Johnny Ntimfojwo there. He's the ranking member on the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. Let's now bring in our resident correspondent from Parliament, Kweku Asante, who's joining us on the telephone lines for more. Kweku, before this news conference, the minority leader had raised similar issues on the floor. What did he say?
Well, according to Alexander Fejomakin, the government could not have gone ahead with the deployment of Ghanaian troops as well as using Ghanaian resources to send relief items to Jamaica without first briefing Parliament. His demand was anchored on the fact that the Minister for Defense or Foreign Affairs ought to have come to Parliament to brief MPs before taking these decisions.
Regarding all these items that are being shipped out of the country, Mr. Speaker, yesterday we read in the news that some relief items were being shipped, and the military high command had gone to inspect these items before shipment. I've checked with my colleague, the ranking on Defense and Interior, as to whether or not the committee on this, the committee has been involved in any of these. He says no. Mr. Speaker, I think that the major policy decision like this must receive at least the blessings of Parliament. We are here as part of the ecosystem in the governance of the country. It cannot be that the members of Parliament would have to be reading this in the news. And when we have ministers who are first to come and signal us of this policy, that look, there is some disaster, the hurricane that struck Jamaica, and Ghana has a bilateral relationship with the good people of Jamaica. As part of that, we are committing $10 million, $5 million in relief items and list the various items that are going to be delivered. Mr. Speaker, if the ministers decide not to take this house serious, then what other forum would they take serious?
Well, Kuku, so the minority leader is also insisting there are issues to be focused on in Ghana instead of seeking to support other countries. Why did he say that?
Well, yes, according to him, there are significant problems in the country. In fact, there have been recent floods, people have not been sorted out, and the government of Ghana is doing what is known in local parlance as outside gentility home cry, and using resources to sort out foreigners while there are challenges locally.
All we hear is some amount of relief is being provided. We don't know how these items were procured, the processes involved in the procurement, which agency is donating these items to central government, how these items came about. Mr. Speaker, no. In this country, we have serious disasters. The recent flooding in the country, we know that people have been calling for relief. NADMO has been telling us that they don't have stock. So we need to understand, we know that the government would have to balance its obligation in foreign relations. But when you do not have enough to feed your own at home, doing international charity will require a curious concern. Mr. Speaker, I am asking, Mr. Speaker, it is very important that we are briefed the extent to which this is being done. Honorable Majority Leader, I believe that the ball is in your court.
And Kweku, have the Ministers of Defense and Foreign Affairs appeared before Parliament on this matter yet, as demanded by the minority?
Well, the acting Minister for Defense, Dr. Councillor Soforton, has been in Parliament all day, but on subjects relating to his finance ministry brief. But just moments ago, the Foreign Minister, Samuel Okudzeto Blakwa, came here defending the decision. He says the government of Ghana will continue to play its role in the international order. When there are challenges and Ghana can help, it will always do so.
Quick question to reports to us from Parliament. Thank you very much. Let's now get on the telephone lines and speak to Professor Daniel Kipusinyezi. He's an international relations expert. Glad he could join us this evening. From an international relations perspective, what strategic or diplomatic interest does Ghana really stand to gain by deploying military engineers to Jamaica for post-hurricane reconstruction?
Thank you very much. And also thank the in diplomatic practice, I think that Ghana has had a very cordial diplomatic relation with Jamaica for several years, the date of Ikoma up to date. So it's appropriate. I even think that Ghana might have even delayed in providing such humanitarian aid to Jamaica, because looking at the time of the disaster, the hurricane, at least we expected Ghana to have acted much more earlier than this. So it's appropriate. I don't think there's anything wrong. Ghana is what is right. Possibly the minority is also seeing a point that we should not brush it aside. But the role of minority is to keep government on check, and that is government in waiting. So they are appropriate to criticize. But I do not think that it is every aid that government provides that you have to see Parliament over. That will make the legislators be burdened with daily activities. Because government of Ghana has such approval for budget, the Parliament has approved interior, has approved defense. And it's now the executive to execute it. And I do not think it's at every stage that the executive will have to see Parliament to approve that. I think that could be cumbersome. That is why the executives are doing what has good for them. And I'm sure this humanitarian aid is in line with Ghana's own budget for external relations. For that matter, I think government is right, and government is doing what is right.
Professor Kipo Sinyezi, let's talk about neighboring Benin and considering claims about possible troop deployment to Benin following a coup attempt. What really are the regional security considerations, and how might such deployments affect Ghana's role and credibility within the West African bloc, ECOWAS?
All right. Yes. So we all read not quite long the unfortunate thing that happened in Benin. Benin is one of the most stable democracies in West Africa. You look at Senegal, Ghana, Benin become the next one with a very good democracy. I personally was very sad that Benin was at the verge of coup when the announcement came. So, but I think ECOWAS intervention, I support it. At the same time, also worry with ECOWAS always delaying, waiting until the Western happens. I always think ECOWAS may have to come out of the non-interference domestic affairs. I think Benin President Patrice also some of his actions actually demand that such a thing could happen. So the power that is given to you must exercise it in a very measured manner. So it tells us that our democratic leaders must go by the own constitution that has given to them. They must be measured by their actions. So I think that if ECOWAS can intervene in internal matters when they are seeing the early warning signs, rather than waiting for the West before you start sending troops or even going for monitoring and enforcement of this kind of thing. I think the ECOWAS should be proactive. And Ghana is contributing troops to this thing. I think it's appropriate. Ghana is not alone. Senegal is part of that. Ivory Coast, they are part. At least to bring stability. If Benin is in trouble, Nigeria will be, Togo will not be free, Ghana will not be free. Refugees here and there, the crisis will create problems. So trying to stabilize the country, I think it is appropriate, even though it's a bit late. But it's still appropriate. ECOWAS stand, let Benin speak. As I said they have a very stable democracy who must do everything to protect it.
Professor Daniel Kipo Sinyezi, glad he could join me this evening. He's an international relations expert, and that brings us to business. And George Riafi is here with the latest. George, what have you got for us?
Well, coming up, IMF Executive Board approves Ghana's fifth program review, paving the way for disbursement of $380 million. And more oil marketing companies indicate preparedness to drop fuel prices before Friday as Shell and Petrocel take the lead in reviewing their numbers at the pumps. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. Synthesis Tanks and Pepsodent, Herbal and Charcoal. You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, the Executive Board of the IMF has finally approved Ghana's fifth review at a meeting in Washington, D.C., USA today. Now, this should pave the way for some $380 million to be disbursed to Ghana. There is more in this report.
Joy Business understands that the board went ahead to approve the report after it met in Washington, D.C., USA today to review some of the key benchmarks and targets under the program. Again, Joy Business is learning that the board took this decision based on some significant progress Ghana has made under the program when it comes to the fifth review. The staff report is expected to be released in the coming hours, giving more details about how Ghana has performed under the program so far and any other concerns the fund has about the economy. The development could lead to the IMF board authorizing the disbursement of about $380 million to the Bank of Ghana. Joy Business understands that the funds could hit the Bank of Ghana's account before the end of 2025. For some, the development is not about the funds that will be disbursed, but rather the signal it will send to donors and investors about the progress government is taking to firmly stabilize the economy.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, more oil marketing companies have indicated their preparedness to drop fuel prices before this Friday, is coming after Shell and Petrocel took the lead this morning by reducing prices of petroleum products at the pumps. Now, there are currently more than 200 oil marketing companies in Ghana, and there are fears that majority of them could keep their prices unchanged. But some of them have argued that they are working to change the prices. Now, meanwhile, the chief executive of Star Oil, Philip Teku, in an earlier interview with Joy Business, had explained why it takes a while before majority of these oil marketing companies reviewed their prices at the pumps.
We have a lot of players in the industry that have dealers, right? They have dealers who buy the product and sell at the station. If you invoice to a dealer at a price of 12 cedis and the next day you drop it to 11.5, the dealer's margin may be 30 pesos per liter. Suddenly, that transaction is a loss to the dealer. So when you are dropping price, you need to be careful of the effects on the dealer. So sometimes OMCs delay in that process of dropping purely because they want to manage the financial impact on the dealer. But for those of us who are OMCs that don't use the dealer model, we own the stocks at the stations 100%. Prices go up, we benefit as a company. We get a windfall effect. When prices are coming down, we take a hit because the stock also belongs to us.
And that is Chief Executive of Star Oil, Philip Teku, in an earlier interview with Joy Business, explaining why it takes some time before the oil marketing firms move to adjust prices at the pumps. The majority of domestic tourist movement in 2023 was influenced by family visits, friends and funerals. Now this was contained in the latest domestic visitor survey put together by the Ghana Statistical Service. Majority of these visits were more of social than business related. In terms of age bracket, majority of these persons were between 22 and 44 years, whilst that in terms of gender, there were more women than men. The about 6.6 billion Ghana cedis were spent in 2023, went mainly into transport, shopping, food, and local services. Let's hear from the government statistician, Dr. Alhaji Seidu, addressing these concerns when it comes to why most of these visits are more social-driven than business.
Funerals, you are visiting friends and relatives, you have business and professional, you have shopping. People could also embark on tourism for health treatment. You have holidays, leisure and recreation. You have education and training. You have religion and pilgrimage. You have culture and festival. And then you have sporting activities. So all of these are a spectrum of the purpose for which people can embark on domestic tourism, whether same day or overnight. We see an opportunity here. Given that funerals and visiting of friends and relatives takes over 70% of the reasons for visit. It means that we can actually do better in a country to explore the opportunities in the other spectrum.
Dr. Alhassan Idrisu. Dr. Idris Al-Hassan is the chief government statistician. Now, Deloitte Ghana has expressed its commitment of driving positive change for people in the society in which it operates. As such, the firm's consulting services today donated items in an undisclosed amount of money to the Nyamidua orphanage here at Nanakrom in Accra. Here is Kofi Ewa, his strategy and risk partner at the accounting firm Deloitte.
We do that from time to time, and we also impart our people, that is our staff, and of course the community in terms of the clients that we work for, and of course the community where we are. So this year we decided from the consulting services on behalf of the entire firm to come and show love to the orphanage of Nyamidua, and we are happy to be here. I think we are here to show love and to just bring this token to the kids here, so that as we all celebrate enjoying the season, we'll also touch lives and also make sure that the kids that are here also smile and also have the cause to long for more Christmas and more celebration.
And that is strategy and risk partner at accounting firm Deloitte, Kofi Ewa. Let's turn our attention to the stock market and Cal Bank and GCB Bank were the only equities on the Ghana Stock Exchange that saw some price movement at the end of trading on the market. Now, if you are a shareholder of GCB Bank, each value that you are holding was up by 7 pesos to close at 19 Ghana cedis, 58 pesos. That of Cal Bank was also up by 4 pesos and is now worth 58 pesos. Now, for investors who had invested on the Ghana Stock Exchange from the beginning of the year to now, they made a return of more than 90%. And that is all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Kenneth.
Thank you very much, George. It's now time for sports, and Mr. Razak Musbao is in the studio with the latest. Mr. Musbao, what do you have for us?
Hello, Mr. Ken. Well, let's get into it now, because we're building up to the AFCON. We're now some 3 days away to the start of the AFCON, and of course, that is happening on Sunday. And once again, reminding you that we are bringing you AFCON today is a special show where we will be bringing you an update on all that will be happening each day as the AFCON unfolds. And it's going to start, that show is going to be airing on Joy Prime. It will start on Sunday, so make a day for the entire Joy Sports team as we bring you up-to-the-minute update on all that will be happening in this AFCON. But let me take you to the World Cup now, because Ghana is set to get some $10.5 million. Ken, $10.5 million. And that's the minimum amount of money Ghana will get for qualifying for the World Cup. And this follows FIFA's approval of a record-breaking $727 million financial package for the expanded tournament. Remember, this tournament is going to have some 48 teams participating, and the least amount of money each country will go home with is $10.5 million. Now, some $1.5 million will be given to all the countries as money which they will use to prepare for the tournament.
Right.
Then, even if you place 48th, you get to go home with $9 million. So even if you go for the World Cup and you lose all the games of the World Cup, you go home with $9 million.
Not bad.
So plus the 1.5 that they will give you as seed fund for you to pray, plus the 9 million, you get $10.5 million. So that's the least amount Ghana is going to get. But what if Ghana goes beyond the group stage? Now, if they go beyond the group stage, say Ghana makes it to the quarterfinal stage, Ghana will go home with some $15 million. If you make it to the round of 16, $50 million. Now, if we do better and we get to the quarterfinals, you're talking about $19 million.
Okay.
There's money in there. The Black Stars have potential of bringing us some foreign exchange.
I'm very
now,
skeptical
if
about
they
them,
go
by the
all the way to the semi-final and say they come fourth, they get $27 million. If they come third, they get $29 million. Now, what if Ghana comes second? We don't win the title, but we come second. $33 million. I mean, Charlie, and we win the trophy. $50 million. You can imagine what we can, the finance minister, Ato Forson, can use that
it's
for.
the hope that kills you.
But no,
Can
this
we
is
win, though?
This is the prize at stake. This is the prize at stake.
Right,
And if
considering all things.
you can imagine if all of this money comes to the country, what it would do for us. All right. So
course.
this is what is at stake. $9 million, even if we exit from the group stage, plus 1.5, $10.5 million. But if as we do well and the competition progresses, we get some good money on top of that. So that's what is at stake now, and we'll see how much the Black Stars can get. But guaranteed, $10.5 million. In Ghana cities, guess how much that is?
Tell me.
120 million Ghana cities.
That could do a lot for a sport.
That's good money.
It is.
It's good money. Yeah, that's it for sports.
Thank you very much, Musbao. And the Media Coalition Against Galamsey has raised alarm over the growing use of cyanide by small-scale and illegal miners, warning that the practice poses severe threat to lives and the environment. Convener of the group, Kenneth Gyasi, says unlike large-scale firms that operate under strict controls, these miners lack safety systems and protective equipment, increasing the likelihood of cyanide leaks into underground and surface water.
Generally, the large-scale miners do cyanidation, but they do it under very strict regulatory control and the protection and the facilities that they do to make sure that nothing leaks from the cyanide points. But unfortunately, some of the small-scale miners, without the necessary regulation from the EPA, the Minerals Commission, are beginning to do some cyanidation, and which is very dangerous because the concentrations at which they are working at and the lack of the right protection and PPEs and all of that, the risk of the cyanide leaking into underground water and to water systems very high. And because of the level of concentration that they're doing it, when that happens, the likelihood that the whole community could be wiped out is very, very imminent. And as an industry, we have reached out to the regulators to look at this. National security also has to pay attention to it.
And with just 9 days to the much-anticipated Joy FM family party in the park on December 26th, well, preparations are intensifying at the event venue in Abri as organizers put final touches to the venue. Well, earlier today, organizers were on site carrying out key planning activities. And my colleague Michelle Latte joins me in studio now with updates on what really went on and what families can expect. Michelle, you were at the event grounds today. What stood out from the preparations on the ground?
So today was mainly about the final coordinations, putting the final preparations into, you're looking at putting in the final preparations. The organizers, that's the multimedia group, were there. They came together to discuss how they are going to allocate the setup areas and places where they are going to put the stands, all the exciting activities you're expecting, the places that have been allocated, the security arrangements to ensure that everything that goes on during the event goes on smoothly, and putting in health and safety measures also. So it was clear that preparations are far advanced, and we are geared towards having a very smooth and safe experience for all the families who are going to be present at the event on the 26th.
This is obviously a family affair. So for parents planning to attend, what activities and experiences are available for them?
Well, for parents, there's a lot for them in store. We are looking at the Ghana village, where we are going to enjoy a lot of Ghanaian food. We are looking at a lot of local drinks. We are seeing exhibition of Ghanaian attires. So we are looking at that. We are expecting some performances from Kwampa, some Zomizo, from Dope Nation, and some other major performances that are going to happen. But let's hear from the general manager in charge of sales and marketing here at Multimedia, Max Fuga.
We also have the Daddy's Corner, or the Adults Corner, as you may call it. If it is for daddies, yes, everybody can come. But yeah, we introduce things that will make daddies stay. And so everything that excites daddy, whether it is food, whether it is grills, whatever excites daddy, will also be available at the Daddy's Corner to make sure that the daddies are engaged this time. It's a family event, and so we want everybody to be there. So the daddies must not come and drop mummies and kids and go away, but they should stay. There is also the mummies cookie competition and other activities to engage mummies and make them unwind and make them relax and make them engage with their friends and their family members.
And for children, what should parents expect for their kids?
You know, because it's a family event, definitely the children are the heart of the party in the park. And we're looking at a lot of fun activities for them. Looking at games, bouncing castles coming in, and we are bringing Santa to Ghana. So we are expecting some gifts to be given out to these children who are going to meet Santa on that particular day. Let's hear again from Max Fuga, who tells us more about what children should expect.
So the kids for the bouncing castle, face painting competition. We have the grotto that will have Father Christmas that will be dishing out or distributing gifts to the kids who will come. So there's an exciting package that has been lined up for the kids so that they'll be happy, they'll be engaged, they'll leave here satisfied.
And you definitely do not want to miss Joy FM's family party in the park on the 26th of December 2025, and it's going to be lively from start to finish. Our patrons are definitely assured of great music throughout the day, creating a festive atmosphere for families to relax, bond, and celebrate together. And that's it for Newsnight tonight. But before we go, here a few of your messages that you've been sending to us. This is Mensa from Teshi Nungwa, and he says, must Intim for Joy and his people oppose everything just because they are in opposition? Since when has the deployment of armed forces become the responsibility of Parliament? We need a more responsible opposition than this. And this is from Se Mamobi from K2 North, and he says the Galamsey issue, the NZC government cannot put a stop to the act because they are making huge sums of money from the buying of gold from the Galamseyers. Mr. President, if you truly care about Ghanaians, please declare a state of emergency to stop Galamsey. And this one from Francis in Accra, he says, to Afenyo Markin and his MPP MPs who were digging, was going to have him money then to feed the citizens before the hole they dug in the name of the National Cathedral. They should note that they do not matter again in any governance issue in the country. So those are some of your messages that you've been sending to us on our WhatsApp console. That's it for Newsnight. My name is Kenneth Gyasi. But right after those, Strong and Sassy is coming up. And of course, the beautiful Enimwa is in the studio.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm excited. Strong and Sassy tonight. I think you just need to pack and just watch us on Facebook because I have the whole squad here, the original squad. We are just coming to spoil the place. We are not coming to talk about anything this evening. We are just coming to spoil the place. So, too, you know, when we let it loose like this, it's a dirty December.
It looks like a very, very packed show
It's
today.
a very, very dirty December on Strong and Sassy.
That means you're recapping the year, right?
We are doing a lot. I'm just not going to say, but definitely stay tuned in. And if you can watch us on Facebook, I mean, the visuals are always better.
I cannot afford to miss this. You too.